Then we go to line 6. What does line 6 do? Return x. So effectively, what is the value that I'm returning? We're returning a value of 7. Yep. So we copy and paste the rightmost return info cell. We change the question mark to the value that we are returning, and we are done. Now I know 6 times 7 is 42, but we do not carry out the multiplication at this point. Okay, we just turn the question mark into an actual value, and we are done. Don't do anything else, okay? Because if you do anything else at this point, it can potentially be a wrong thing, and the entire trace will be messed up after this. Okay, so after line 6, we're done with the conditional statement. We go to line 11. Line 11, once again, we'll deallocate these 3 columns, so they're gone. And then what do? Line 11 is the end of a subroutine. Where do I go back to? We go back to line 9. Line 9, because my return info cell tells me to go back to line 9. See right here.
Okay.
This is my verb. In other words,
Right.
This is the action I'm supposed to take. Can I actually perform the return now? Well, technically no, because I have to carry out the multiplication first. Okay, 6 times 7 is 42. Now, can I return? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to execute a statement that is in J22 right now. What do I do when I execute a return statement? What are the 3 things that I have to do? 1, locate the rightmost return info cell. Okay. Which one is my rightmost return info cell? I can act.
G.
It's column G, and we will just go ahead and take a look at what it looks like at this point. Okay, G9 is my return info cell. It is not J22 because J22 is deallocated at this point. Okay. In other words, this is the action. J22 is my verb. It specifies what to do. It is a return statement that I'm executing. G9 is my object. This is what I'm acting on. And this is going to be my result. The result is copy, paste, change the question mark to the value that I'm returning. What value am I returning? I'm returning 42. Okay? Now, by the time you specify, or by the time you replace a question mark with an actual value, you cannot use variables and unknowns anymore. You have to resolve all of that to an actual number. So in this case, you cannot use 6 times 7. You have to say it is 42. Are there any questions at this point? Yep.
Ever since we started the second invocation, why did n equal 0 and it just goes to the, just return the value instead of going back to the cycle on the second invocation?
Okay, can you point out the row number? Yes. Are you row 15? Row 16?
Yeah.
Row 16 is the result of executing return x on line 6.
Why is it n equals 0? We got n minus 1. Why is it n equals 0 and that n equals negative 1 instead of...
Because this n is the result of this n minus 1. Okay? Mm-hmm. What else do we have to do on line 9? Remember, line 9 looks like J22 at this point. Other than copying and pasting the return info cell, changing the question mark to 42, what else do I have to do? Absolutely nothing. Okay? You have to remember that. Don't do anything other than copying and pasting the return info cell and specifying what the question mark is supposed to be. Okay? Don't do anything else because sometimes the problem is doing some additional stuff when you are not supposed to. Okay? We're done on line 9 now. So what do we go after line 9? We go to line 11. Now, I'm pretty sure that someone is asking a question like, but wait, we cannot go on anymore because the right-hand side of this invocation is not done yet. It's not my job to do it. My job is to replace the question mark with an actual value. I have done that step, I'm done. Okay, it is not my job to figure out, oh, there's a second invocation. I'm not concerned with that. Not at this point. On line 11, what do? We deallocate the columns that we have allocated for this invocation, and then where do we go? Tell me again, what is the purpose of the return info cell? The entire purpose of the return info cell is to tell me where to go at the end of a subroutine.
What to take back with?
What to take back with me, or how much is resolved on that line at this point, right? So when I'm done on line 11, which is deallocating the columns G, H, and I continue execution based on the return info cell. It tells me I have to go back to line 9. Okay, very good. So we say line 9, but line 9 now looks like this. Can I actually carry out the return action at this point?
No, because of the rule of parentheses.
Because we have another invocation on the right-hand side. So now I have to take care of the invocation on the right-hand side before I can do the multiplication, then we can do the return. Okay? So what do I do when I invoke S5, I have to reallocate columns, right? Every time you invoke a subroutine, you have to allocate at least one column for return line number or return info. And because S5 returns a value, I have to use return info. It has a parameter n, it also has a parameter x. Is that okay so far? Basically, we deallocated columns G, H, and I and reused those same columns immediately on line 9. Is that okay? Okay. And now, what do I use to specify x? X is the easy one because we know that we are just passing x to x and we're just passing the alias along. What about n? 2 minus 1, which is 1. Very good. It is 2 minus 1 because I am executing this statement, but in the context of columns D, E, and F. And if you scroll up enough, you will see that column E has a value of 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. Is that okay? Okay. How about my return info? This is actually just completely deja vu because we have done it already, but at a deeper level. Where we replace the invocation with a question mark. Okay? So the invocation is the right one, the right-hand side one. So this one is the one that we'll replace with a question mark. Okay? And once we have set up columns G, H, and I correctly, we will go ahead and continue execution in the subroutine, starting on line 4. Line 4 asks, does n equal to 0? No, it does not because it is 1. So you can see that we're going to go over the whole thing again. So we go we go to line 8 again. Line 8 says we want to add 2 to x. And x refers to column C. Column C has a value of 7 already. Adding 2 to 7 ends up with a 9. Then we go ahead and execute line 9. Line 9 is this. Okay? Obviously, I cannot do the return. I cannot even do the multiplication. I have to start with the left invocation again. Okay? So I have to deal with the left invocation. Whenever you do an invocation, you have to do the same boring stuff all over again. Allocate a column for return info, allocate a column for parameter n, allocate a column for parameter x. X is the easy one because it is just an alias passing along. N, what should I use for n in this case? Okay, we are here. Well, my current context is columns G, H, and I, and n equals to 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. Okay, so column K should have a value of 0. Is that okay? Okay. I know it looks kind of confusing, and that's the whole idea of this, trace is it basically, if anyone has any misunderstanding of any concept related to subroutines, it will show up when you trace this example. So what we do, yes?
Are you going to upload this trace to Moodle today?
Yes. Yep, it's already, it's not uploaded for this class, it's already uploaded to my other class. Okay, I'm going to turn on wrap text because, we'll need that. Okay, what do I do with return info? Okay, so we have to say, when we're done, we go back to line 9. The return is not done yet. The first invocation is the one that I'm taking care of at this point. But the second invocation, guess what? Is not done yet. Are we doing okay with this? No?
I thought we already got the first one done. It's 42, right?
No, not quite. Okay, let me move this. I'm going to have to move this side. Like that. Okay. So the question you have to ask yourself is, how did we get to line 9? That's the question. So I have just exposed enough of the trace to explain how did we get to line 9. Did I get back to line 9 because of a return at the end of a subroutine, or did I get to line 9 because I just executed line 8? Yep, because according to column B, which is my line number, I just executed line 8, and that's how I got to line 9. Which means, for this particular invocation, this is the first time that I have executed, or I attempt to execute line 9. The first time you execute line 9, none of this stuff is resolved.
Okay, we're still working on the right-hand side right now.
We're working on the left-hand side. This is the first time I get to line 9 in this invocation.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, I see where I got lost. I see where I'm mixed up right now.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And that's why this is a good example. This is a good program to trace because, it really makes sure that you understand the mechanisms of dealing with subroutines. Okay.
Are you going to start over?
Yep. Once we set up the 3 columns, we start from the beginning of the subroutine, which is line 4. So line 4 is checking whether n equals to 0, and it is true. We go to line 5, we add 1 to column C. Column C becomes 10. We go to line 6, we return x. So once again, this is executing a return statement. Executing a return statement has 3 steps. Find the return info cell, copy and paste it, change the question mark to the value I'm returning. In this case, it is 10, and I'm done. Are we doing okay with this? Yes? Okay. And what else do we have to do after line 6? Line 6 is a return statement. It is the last thing that we do inside the conditional statement. Then we get out, we go to line 11. And then on line 11, we just deallocate the columns that we have allocated so far. So we deallocate these columns. Okay, do you guys have any questions? Yes? No? Okay. All right. So after line 11, the big question is, where do we go to?
Line 9.
Line 9. Very good. Because the return info cell is telling me to go back to line 9. Can I actually go, when I go back to line 9, I always ask the question, can I return?
No.
No, because we have the other side of the invocation that we have